Yeah.
When you guys are doing the audio for Dragon Ball Z, has anybody ever passed out and having screamed for 40 minutes straight?
Sean Schimmel came close to passing out. But he's a pussy, so... No, he's not. Sean Schimmel's a great guy. I have a really good story about Sean Schimmel. I was directing him in a Lupin movie. He played a villain, and he had gas. And he was in the booth farting. And to his credit, he kept the door shut, but he kept telling us about it. He's like, "You do not want to come in here, man." Like, "You're right, keep that door closed." And I remember at one point, there's a vent in the back, you know, and he was like this going... trying to get some fresh air from his own stank. So, I recorded with him for several hours this way, and then his session was over and he left, and to his credit again, he shut the door really quick so no one would have to share, right? And then he left, and then I went and had a little break, and I went back in because I was about to direct again to someone else. It was Laura Bailey. And I'd forgotten what had happened that entire day. And so she goes into the booth, she closed the door, and I'm sitting there, says, "Okay, so now this character you're going to be playing for me today is," and I hear, "What?" And she goes, "What is that smell?" And I went, "Oh my God! Get out! Get out! Abort! Abort!" And she like runs out. She's, "What is that?" I said, "I'm sorry, Sean had gas in here." She went, So I told Sean Schimmel about this the next day, and he said, "Yes." So the moral is, you should respect all evil. He's an evil bastard. But Laura has it coming, though. Laura Bailey is not as sweet as you think she is.
I think it's called.
I remember one time I was working at Okratron 5000, which is Chris Sabat's studio, and I was checking my MySpace. Do you remember what MySpace was? It was a little archaic friend finder thing. And I was checking my MySpace, and I forgot to log out. I got home and I checked it again, and my profile picture was this 90-year-old woman in a bikini. She was 120 or something, and on there, and so I looked. Oh, that's cool. I wonder who did that and how. So I put on there, Weight Watchers is working, and I left it up for 2 weeks, but nobody owned up to it, you know. And then finally, 2 weeks later, Laura writes me and she goes, "This is what I love about you. You left it up." I said, "It was you?" I would have never suspected. Then I found out she's a notorious prankster. Yeah, so. She deserves to be in a booth with Sean's farts. No one deserves that. No one deserves that at all. Yes, you in the back with the blonde hair.
Is there a character that whenever you see, you wish, "Oh, I wish I did that voice"?
Oh.
You know, I've been very fortunate to get the parts I really, really had to have, you know. Like Usopp was one of those parts I just really wanted really bad, and so was Maes Hughes, and Krillin was definitely one of those characters, and Tsunami Tom as well. So there's not any I just went, "Oh man, I wish I could have done that," or I could have done it. But I have auditioned for stuff before that I didn't get cast for, and the people that they cast, I think, are not nearly as good as what I could have done with that part. But the problem is that a lot of times it's the way they direct, the way they cast, is that they, you're just given a list of lines, right? And so you try to read them as best as you can, but you don't know what the director's looking for, and we don't get to see the original Japanese. So, and when I hear what they finally come up with, I went, "Oh, that's what you were looking for. I could have done that." And it had a more convincing accent, you know, or whatever. But generally, though, I feel very fortunate that I get the parts that I've wanted, you know. And maybe that's why I got them, because of the parts, those are the parts I really wanted, you know. Yeah.
Why are you so fond of Krillin, other than the fact that you did his voice?
Krillin is an awesome character. I mean, he's got quite a range. First of all, he gets highly emotional. You know, he's looking for love in all the wrong places, and oh my God, Krillin to me is the bravest character in the whole Dragon Ball Z saga. Krillin, because someone told me once that the definition of courage is not being without fear. The definition of courage is being afraid, but doing what has to be done anyway.
Yeah.
And you know, if you got somebody like Goku who you like, you know what, I probably could take him, you know, and he goes out there and fights, so what? You got somebody like Krillin who knows he's going to die, but maybe if he goes out there, he can buy Goku a couple of more minutes to save the day. That's courage, you know. That's a pretty remarkable thing. I mean, and plus, as an actor, you love doing death scenes, you know. And he dies 4 times. How often do you get to do that and still end the series alive, you know?
And with a wife and kid.
Yeah, and plus he's, you know, it'd be cool. Like, I think a lot of people ask me this question, like they say, but he always, you know, gets his ass kicked or whatever, you know. And it's like, wouldn't you rather play one of the guys who's kicking ass? It's like, no, because they're boring, you know. I mean, you would want to be that character for real, but you wouldn't, because you wouldn't want your ass kicked all the time. But you know, if you're playing a character who talks like this, like a Clint Eastwood character, and that's the level he stays on all the time, it's not that fun, you know. But if you have a character going, oh my God, you know, that's fun, you know, and you get to do that all day. That's why he is my favorite, and he's also my favorite because I've done him the longest. You know, he and I have started the industry together. You know, I mean, I was very green going in, and I've watched myself get better doing Krillin. You know, he's sort of my gauge of how well I'm doing. So yeah, he's the one that's nearest and dearest to my heart. Yeah.
Do you have you ever, doing all your characters, have you seen their personalities kind of influence your personality, or vice versa, after acting with?
You know, like Lupin III has a real smarmy kind of voice, right? And when I was doing it, when I would come home, my wife could tell I was recording Lupin that day. She'd say, "Oh, you were recording Lupin today." I said, "How can you tell?" It's still there. And there was some of that actually, because I was doing that before Hughes, and some of that actually made it into Hughes' voice too. You can hear it sometimes. Hey, come on, let's look at this. You know, it's really close. But there are some really strange things that I don't know if I had always done it or if it was the character that influenced me. Like Krillin, you know, laughs like, and sometimes I'll be laughing like,
We love you.
did I always do that? And I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know if that came from me or came from Krillin. Although I went to visit my dad recently and I said something that really cracked him up and he was like, maybe I got it from him. So Krillin laughs like my dad. And you know, after you do it so much, you really don't. The lines become very blurred, you know, so I have no idea what influenced what. Yes?
So, in Dragon Ball Z, One Piece, and Full Metal, did you try out for anyone else other than the character you got?
We always try out for all the characters. But you know, there are certain characters that if you know about it, you want to push for it, do that. And I think actually I was asked to come in for Full Metal Alchemist because they were considering me as one of the Hughes for that. So, but yeah, I did audition for other parts. In a One Piece, I auditioned for other parts, but I knew that I wanted Usopp. That was one of the only auditions I've ever been to that I really got to hear the Japanese first, because you know we were redoing it after 4 Kids had it, and the Japanese creator wanted a hand in casting us. Yeah, so they actually let us listen to it, and I heard that and I went, oh, that's good. You know, I want that. But yeah, generally we audition for most of the leads. You know, you're given what they call sides, and sides are a picture of the character, their name, a brief history, and about 5 to 10 lines. And you go through that, and you generally say, can you pick out 2 or 3 that you think you could nail? You know, so that's what you do. You go through that, and I definitely picked Hughes as one of the characters. I can't remember the other characters I read for. Maybe Roy, but that might have been a little young.
Ooh.
Yeah. That would have been a different character altogether, wouldn't it?
Oh my. How would have your Roy sounded?
I don't know. Hughes. Don't call me.
You should have taken.
Yes.
You mentioned that